The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
On today's Farm Connections, we focus on the art of farming. When we visit the studio of Bonnie Mohr, who paints extraordinary scenes of rural life. This nationally recognized artist is inspired by her own life on the farm, and we'll learn how she gives back by supporting young people interested in agriculture. Then we'll meet our next FFA Student Leader of the Week, all right now on Farm Connections.
Farm Connections on KS, sponsored in part by the Cedars of Austin, a senior living community. We even have a retired farmers club. Independent, assisted, and memory care apartments. Learn more at cedarsofaustin.com. Will Mahler, the ag attorney, has been representing dairy farms in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin for 37 years. Will Mahler, the ag attorney's office is in Rochester, and Will is a proud partner of Farm Connections. Thanks, Will Mahler.
One of the true pleasures of farming is living close to the land and learning to appreciate its natural beauty. It provides a peace and tranquility that stays with you for a lifetime. It's at the heart of the work of artist Bonnie Mohr. Her paintings highlight the splendor and beauty that can be found every day in rural settings. I had the opportunity to visit with her on her farm near Glencoe, Minnesota, and learn more about art and agriculture.
Basically, I paint the sights of rural America. When people look at my art, they are seeing real life, rural America. I don't try to paint anything sugar-coated or magical in my work. My work is really the cross-section of rural America. I've always said, anybody who looks at my work knows exactly who I am because I paint who I am. You know, I paint the things that I love and I paint the things that are really right in my backyard. I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a dairy farm, one of 8 children. What is on the farm is what has stayed with me my entire life, and that is that there's beauty in just the simple joys around you. The things that money can't buy, really, you know, the and the newborn calf, and working together as a team to get the crop in, working as a team to get the chores done, and then there's just this underlying sense of accomplishment that comes along with working hard and doing your part. I'm a self-taught artist, so everything I do I've learned on my own and through self-study, going to art shows and reading magazines. I painted cows for probably 20-some years, and then in the last 10 years started to branch out into the other sites of rural America and painting other domestic animals. And I guess most recently in the last 5-6 years I've started painting inspirational art as well. When you grow up on a farm, you learn to appreciate really what hard work can do. It can take you to an astronaut or a doctor or go on in life and, you know, dreaming the dream and then going out to achieve it. And for me, it all started in America. It all starts with our roots that are right here. There are a few of us who have been enough to be born and grow up on a farm, and that's a part of our heritage. It's just a part of our roots. And you know, I think our job is to teach the rest of the world. I mean, we're responsible to raise the crop, to feed the world, and I think it's our job to teach people about the importance of agriculture. I think securing those images on canvas and promoting it, number one, is a commitment and a testimony to my love of agriculture and the lifestyle that we live. I, as an artist, try to capture what's in my heart and the things that I love and the things that I grew up with and the things that I knew. And fortunately, people who connect with that and have a love for that as well. I think the more complex our world gets and the faster we move and the more social media takes over, the more we long to hang on to simple things that bring us a feeling of love and a feeling of peace and a feeling of just there's that good feeling that comes from being pure and simple and holding on to that. God gave me a skill, and I'm doing what I think I'm supposed to do and playing my part of promoting agriculture and the essence of it. And it's a wonderful way to live.
As she mentioned, Bonnie has drawn rich rewards from a lifetime on the farm. And now let's learn how she's giving back by supporting young people interested in agriculture. As a senior in high school, Bonnie was elected to state office in the Minnesota FFA, and today she's created a wonderful work of art to help carry on the mission of this important organization. Let's visit with Bonnie and the Executive Director of the Minnesota Ffa Foundation, Val. Bonnie Mohr studio in rural Glencoe. Bonnie, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And also with us is Val Arsvold, Executive Director of FFA.
Thank you.
Minnesota FFA.
Correct.
You also were involved in the New Ulm High School FFA program, weren't you?
Absolutely, yep. John and I were both FFA members, and I was the FFA Green Hand president and went on to become the local chapter president my senior year. And then had the fortunate opportunity to be a Minnesota State FFA officer in 80-81. I was state secretary, and New Ulm had a big chapter, lots of kids involved, and we were under the direction of Frank Stuckey, and they actually had 4 ag teachers at that time. It was a very big chapter, but I tell you, I grew to become the person I am because of FFA and the activities I was involved in, and truly one of the most powerful youth organizations in the world. So it was wonderful.
Recently you traveled to the State FFA convention in St. Paul. What was your experience? What went through your mind as you watched all those blue jackets?
You know, this is so amazing because when I completed my term as a state officer, I sort of disconnected and got on with my life, not by choice, but sort of by necessity, because my life just got busy with finishing college. We got married. I started my business, and shortly after we bought the farm, we were busy having children. And so my life just went on. So when I came back to the Minnesota FFA convention this past year, which was in conjunction with the unveiling of the Legacy Project and the painting, it all came back. I mean, it all came back. And I went there thinking, well, now this is going to be interesting, coming back to a part of my life that I've really left behind for a few years. And when I was back there, number one, the kids were great. Any kid wearing a blue jacket was respectful and peaceful and mindful, and they were on a mission. They all had a goal. Everyone was busy. They were doing things. They were productive. And there's something about the auditorium being filled with 3,000 or 4,000 blue FFA jackets sitting there that it kind of just takes you over, and all of a sudden you're engulfed in the blue plague, they call it, I guess. And when I was there this year, I sat there and made up my mind that on that day I was becoming a donor of the FFA Legacy Club, because that is the best place you could put your money to ensure a good future. These kids who are coming up in the FFA program, you know, bar none, are great kids, and they're the leaders of tomorrow. They're the people who are going to produce the food we eat. And I left feeling the convention absolutely charged. I mean, it was like, yeah, I had just plugged my battery back in, and you walk away feeling really positive about our future because it's in really good hands.
Wonderful. Val, this has got to be music to your ears. Tell us about your experience. Do you see this groundswell of emotion and passion from people like Bonnie that come back often, or is she the one and only?
Oh no, it looks different for each person. Bonnie's described hers, but it really is something that most FFA members have in common, and that is when they go back and think about that part of their life and how those FFA experiences were so critical in giving you your voice and your confidence, that is pretty special, but that happens frequently in the FFA. So we love to hear stories like Bonnie's because most of us have lived similar experiences.
What is your role as Executive Director of the Minnesota FFA?
You know, some could say that I'm about raising dollars, and certainly resources are an important part, but I really feel it's more about building partnerships. We see people give back in ways that are very unique and very special to their talents and their treasures. So we certainly want people to think about what was impactful in their lives and then give back and invest in the next generation. So for some, that's a financial contribution. For others, it's helping with training and development of our future leaders.
And I was in attendance at the State FFA convention as well. I saw Val and I saw you, Bonnie, there. What a wonderful experience. The FFA band played, awards were given. It was really a celebration of agriculture and agribusiness in Minnesota. A nice job, and thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
There's a lot of work that goes into that, and it's really driven by the students that are members of the organization. As staff, you just stay out of their way and let their energy and their excitement dictate what those conventions look like.
Bonnie, I'm told you still have your FFA jacket. Is that true?
I do. I brought it along to one of the last film sessions we had, and I told Val, I said, well, I'll bring it, just don't make me wear it. But when I got home that day, just for kicks, I decided to put it on and see if I could still zip it, and I did. So that was great.
Remarkable. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
But that past, combined with Val, led to the artwork behind us. Val, maybe tell us how you sought out or found Bonnie to commission her.
We actually were visiting with Bonnie about 5-6 years ago during a conversation at the Minnesota State Fair where FFA has a strong presence, Bonnie has a strong presence, and we talked about could we do something together. And we knew we wanted to, but we needed the perfect project to come together, and that's where the Legacy Club really came to be. We said we want to capture what's beautiful and right about the FFA, and there's some elements to that artwork that really do describe what's special and unique about the FFA. So it took some time for the Legacy Club to develop, and when we decided it was going to happen, we knew Bonnie was the perfect partner. We knew that she had experienced all the pieces of the FFA experience and could capture that and make people feel proud about the FFA, but about agriculture and what's good and right about our communities.
Well, Bonnie, I think we'd be amiss if we didn't mention your maiden name.
Bianchi.
Because Mom and all the siblings are going to want to know that the Bianchi name is represented here today, too.
Well, thank you, and they would be proud about that, absolutely. Most of my siblings all went through FFA as well, and so and we grew up on a farm, and it's sort of ironic because really there are only 2 of us from the 8 that are living on a production agriculture farm, and I'm very proud about it and very happy to have that opportunity to raise my children here. So.
I noticed the children are in the studio, they're helping on the farm. It's nearly utopia.
Yeah. Well, it may not be by their choice, but it's the way it is. So.
Well, hopefully they learn some of the same work ethics
Absolutely.
and some of the same things that you valued about FFA.
Absolutely.
Tell us about the piece.
Well, when Val and the committee approached me about joining forces to come up with the piece, you know, we really spent quite a bit of time talking about what would be a good representation of FFA and agriculture, but something else that would really move your heart and, you know, move your spirit and make you feel like you want to be a part of this. And my feeling was that it had to be something beautiful, so that, for example, if a spouse was not in FFA, they would still feel happy about wanting to hang this in their home, whether it's in the living room or in the office area. But, you know, really there's probably nothing as beautiful as a morning sunrise on a farm and in rural America. So, and that also is one of the parts of the emblem of the FFA symbol. And so we knew we wanted to incorporate a rising sun, and we did decide to tuck a farm into the horizon line off in the background, because of course that is total symbolic of production agriculture, and where all the work takes place is on the farm. The field of corn was a natural fit and probably one of the most important parts of the painting because it symbolizes totally the FFA logo. And then the symbol of patriotism and the connection to America, we decided to put the bald eagle in. And ironically, this was the first bald eagle I had painted, but we have 2 pairs of male-female bald eagles who nest right on our river bottom, and they circle every spring our farm. And so that was really special to get to paint an American bald eagle, and I think it came out just really, really well. Lastly, then we also incorporated, putting the FFA slogan in the motto, and that really summarizes the essence of what this painting means. And it's a connection of our past into our present and into our future, because that, more so than anything that's important is where we are and where we're going. And when I came back from the FFA convention, I felt like we had really hit the nail on the head with producing a piece of artwork that was symbolic of a bright future. And so, yeah, in a nutshell, I think that's it.
Well, it's beautiful. Who chose the name? We Live to Share.
That came out of discussions with Bonnie as well as some of our foundation board members, really realizing how much we have come full circle in our ability to give back to the FFA. As students, you are living the motto, you are learning, you are doing. Then you go to that point where you're earning your living and you really are focused on making yourself and grow and be successful, and then living to serve. But we also are at the point where we now can share and help others through our giving. So that really we felt was a wonderful name. We feel it was a good kind of second part to the motto. We're not changing the motto, but rather adding what we feel is very special about our effort with the Legacy Club.
Well, it must be working because many have been marketed. And as I mentioned before the programming, Bonnie, this beautiful piece of art is hanging in my living room.
Wonderful.
So
that's great.
It's enjoyed by our entire family.
Thank you.
Val, can you expand just a little bit about the Minnesota FFA Foundation Board at the state level, and also the successful project and how you feel about it?
We have a volunteer board of directors, and they are really responsible for overseeing the finances and to make sure that all the dollars are well invested in the programs that we have. There are 185 FFA chapters across the state of Minnesota, so dollars that come into the state foundation serve the entire state of Minnesota, and we feel really good about that because we know that the state association is only as successful as those local chapters, and most of us resonate with our local experience, and we go on to be leaders and servants in our local communities. So that's where the real focus has been on helping our chapters to grow and be successful. The Legacy Club has been very successful. We invite more people to join in the effort because we know that the need is great and that there are FFA programs that need the financial resources. So we'll be awarding the first grants through these dollars this fall, and we'll see incredible things happen. We'll see young people develop their voice, develop their confidence, and really become leaders in their local communities because people like us, those of us here who invested in the Legacy Club, are supporting their growth.
And you're no stranger to FFA yourself. Your husband teaches FFA and ag. You did the same. Did you both grow up in the agriculture classroom?
We did. In fact, when I say you find your voice in the FFA, that's very personal to me. I gave the FFA Creed as a freshman and really developed some confidence there, and then grew and developed friendships across the state and across the country. So it is a personal thing for me as well. I did have the privilege of teaching high school agriculture for 7 years, first at Wilmer, then at Plainview, and then I got to see the special impact that agriculture educators have on young people's lives. And it is a special journey that you take with them. And then I've been able to do this now for 11 years, so I get to see more people as a result.
Wonderful. Bonnie, as I walk through the studio, I see the depth and I see the meaning, and your art has purpose. And I'm hoping we can take a few minutes and just look at some of the pieces. It makes me think of the song where the lyric goes, and the blood runs through the instrument. And I'm hoping you can show us around some. Would that be okay?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'd love to.
But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Yep.
And Val, thank you. Bonnie, thanks for bringing us into your showroom that's next to the studio.
You're
You've got
welcome.
some great art, like this one. Attitude is everything?
Attitude is everything, right. That piece I did actually in the year 2000 when Governor Jesse Ventura came to our farm, and we hosted a statewide June Dairy Day. We had 3,000 people here, and that piece was unveiled that day, in addition of 2,000. And it really speaks to the world about having a great attitude, and that attitude is what gets you through life, especially during the tough times and tough conditions. But this is a boss cow, and she has attitude, and we actually presented Governor Venture with the #1 signed and numbered print, so that was a fun day.
How about this one, Living Life?
Living Life was actually one of the first pieces that I did as the start of my inspirational lineup of artwork now. And Living Life is a verse that I wrote when we opened our showroom studio on the farm. And I actually stenciled this verse around the showroom. It's in the other room. And it's the philosophy that I live by, and it's the words that I want to teach my children. And my feeling was, if I could teach my kids the meaning of this, that they would go out and into life and be good people and productive citizens. And after about 8 years of this being stenciled in my showroom, people kept coming to the shop asking if they could get a copy. And I was running it off on the copy machine, handing it out to people. And it occurred to me one day that really the world is hungry for good information and something to believe in. And so I created the tree and made it into a painting. The tree is symbolic of each of us and the life that we live. And just as the tree has broken limbs, we have hardships in life, but that if you have a good foundation and if you have a good base, that life goes on and you still live and you have a good, meaningful life. The whole thing really just summarizes for me that if you believe in yourself and work hard and do the right things in life, and they don't have to be big, fantastic things, but just doing the right things and living the right life, that you'll be happy. And that's what this piece is about. It has become my #1 seller, and people seem to identify with it. And I mean, that just really makes me happy. That makes me feel successful as an artist.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
How about the one behind you?
Yep, I have the next piece that this actually is a takeoff, or what I would call the cousin to Living Life. And this piece is called Living Today. And this piece is really more about your journey today and what God has put on your path today. And it speaks about living in the moment and not worrying about the past and really not worrying about the future. It speaks about there are things on your path today, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all there for a reason, and it's there so that you become the person you're meant to become while you're traveling through life.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just above you is something called Foster Mothers of the Human Race.
Right. This piece was done as a commission for Horde's Dairymen a year ago, and it was in celebration of their 125th anniversary as a company. This is actually the 4th remake of the Foster Mother of the Human Race painting. So it had been done 4 times before. Every time the piece is recreated, what is really happening is that the cow models are being updated and genetics will change over time. And so these cows represent the Miss America of their breed, if you will. They represent a cow that is genetically correct, has great type and conformation, and has the ability to produce, 40 or 50,000 pounds of milk. And so these are really the ideal breed models of the 7 breeds. And I should just mention that in this piece, the red and white cow was added in for the first time, because prior to this piece there was only 6 cows considered a major dairy breed in the U.S. And so the Red and White Association has been officially recognized now as also one of the 7 major breeds in the dairy industry. So this was just a fabulous piece for me to have the opportunity to create, and all 7 breeds are represented.
Great story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now let's meet someone who's carrying the important mission of agriculture into the future, our next FFA Student Leader of the Week.
I'm Brooke Kutchmark, and I'm the Glencoe Silverlake FFA Chapter Historian. I kind of keep what everyone else is doing throughout the year and keep record of what everyone has done, so that at the end of the year we can, go through what they did and everything. I'm very interested in photography and journalism. I've always liked writing and taking pictures, definitely of the agricultural world and whatnot. I also plan on doing something with veterinarian or wildlife studies. Both my grandparents come from dairy farms, and then slowly as time went on they had went into the crop farming and whatnot and beef cattle. My parents we come from a small town of Silverlake, Minnesota, where we own a small gas station that's just local, and it kind of put me in this stage where I wanted to be in my grandparents' shoes and working like that. And I've always loved animals for everything, and kind of seemed like something I'd like, so I did it, and what do you know, I ended up really liking it, and it's where I am now. One thing for sure is that hard work does pay off. A lot of the times people do indeed like that you're in FFA, and they like seeing that you're active in this and that you're enthusiastic, you love what you do. You're not gonna back down from what you're doing.
Thanks for joining Farm Connections. We hope that our focus on ag-inspired art will help you appreciate the many rewards of rural living. Join us next week on Farm Connections.
Farm Connections on KSMQ, sponsored in part by the Cedars of Austin, a senior living community. We even have a retired farmers club. Independent, assisted, and memory care apartments. Learn more at austin.com. Will Mahler, the ag attorney, has been representing dairy farms in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin for 37 years. Will Mahler, the ag attorney's office is in Rochester, and Will is a proud partner of Farm Connections. Thanks, Will Mahler.